What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor at FightfulWrestling.com. Go there to get all of your wrestling news. Follow us at Fightful Wrestle and at Fightful Online. Lots of good stuff over there. Lots of exclusives from the Fightful Wrestling Weekly to match ratings to statistics pieces. Got tons of interviews over there. We have a lot of great exclusive series at Fightful, and we have that premium service, FightfulSelect.com. If you want news a little bit earlier, maybe you want extra podcasts. We dropped a WrestleMania 3 retro show. Maybe you want my match ratings early. There are lots of options over there right now. Go check it out. Our subscriber base has doubled over the last couple of months. Almost daily, I'm updating news and notes. So take a look over there. But tonight it is March 4th, 2019. I am joined by one Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how you doing?
Well, it's I think it was -11 here. It's March, which where I come from used to be spring.
Happy Daylight Savings Week.
Yeah. That'll be good.
So yeah, we got one of our toughest snows of the year yesterday, actually.
Oh yeah? How much was that?
1 to 3.
All right.
Inches.
It's decent.
We ain't on the metric system out here, but Raw to talk about tonight. We are here after SmackDown. We're here after Fastlane this weekend. So make sure you tune in to Tuesday's show because we are making our predictions after the SmackDown review. Overall, Alex, what do you think of this show? I thought there was some decent and some bad and some weird, but there is nothing that I am going to look at on this show and say, man, I remember this Raw for that moment.
Yeah. Well, I might remember it for certain moments, but not in a great way.
Yeah.
No, this is where they're just starting to like scramble. It's like, what am I going to have those two guys from Weekend Update be the co-hosts of WrestleMania? We should probably like have them on Raw or something because nobody knows who they are. We should probably do that. Also, we should probably have them on for half of the show. Like, it's just weird things they do that's that plus like, we got to hurry up and book a Shield reunion. Like, do it in one night. Okay, how are we going to get that done? Also, let's find the most convoluted way to get back around to that three-way that we thought we were going to have a month ago. Let's do it again, but in an entirely different way. It just feels like they're just throwing everything out there and seeing what sticks.
Now, full disclosure, guys, it was announced today that Tori Wilson will be going into the Hall of Fame. Credit to WrestleVotes for breaking that story, contrary to what WWE says. And I told Alex earlier this afternoon, Alex, we are going to make a case for Tori Wilson in the Hall of Fame. And he said, maybe you are. And I said, no, I won't really, but let's play devil's advocate. I'm told this was a Vince McMahon call. No big surprise there.
No big surprise at all.
So how, if we're making this case, how do you do it? Because there's a lot of, she trailblazed and she did this and that. I'm not on that boat. I don't think that she was some outstanding trailblazer that opened up opportunities for a lot of people. I really, really don't. I don't see that. But if we have to make a case, let's go ahead and make one. She wrestled in WCW and WWE.
Which I think is probably the bare minimum.
She won the first and only eggnog match over Stacy Keibler.
A feather in anyone's cap.
She also won a paddle on a pole spanking match. If you remember that historic moment.
You know what? I don't.
She and Tori Wilson, or she and Stacy Keibler defeated Jacqueline. She has a 61% winning percentage in the ring.
What
else?
Sneeze at. Yeah.
What else you got? She was a part of a couple of firsts.
Yeah.
The first Battle Royals.
Yes, I will say that 1998 version of me thought that she might have been the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, there was a certain thing like, wow, did they create her in a lab? Now, I don't know if that means you're a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's like 21 years ago. And, she still looks great. I will say that. And she obviously has I'm casting no asparagements toward Tori Wilson. I will say that if you said, here's a list of all women who have been in WWE who are not yet in the Hall of Fame. Who are your top 5 to make the Hall of Fame? I'm guaranteeing you, I would not have chosen Tori Wilson.
No,
I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve it or whatever, but what I am saying is this is a really good argument for Kelly in 2021.
The GOAT, Kelly, who revolutionized the Thez press.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, am I upset about this? No.
I'm not upset about it.
It's the Hall of Fame. It is what it is. I think it was Live or Leave that tweeted and said, a lot of people act like this ends, like the Hall of Fame is over once somebody that they don't like is in, and that's definitely not the case. I just never saw it, man. Yeah. I never saw it. Of course, there is some memorable stuff. The For Better or For Worse, the Dawn Marie, Al Wilson stuff is remembered.
Yes.
Although I don't know to what degree that is remembered.
I mean, I don't know details, but I remember her in a David Flair storyline at WCW. That was my first introduction to her in that realm. I'm like, all right, wait, listen, if that's your big thing, is you're latching onto a David Flair storyline. I mean, I don't know. If you were to tell me is Stacy Keibler in the Hall of Fame yet? Because I probably would have gone with her first.
Oh, I probably, yeah. I mean, the first thing, it's like, who cares? But yeah, there's Molly Holly, there's Lay Cool, there's Eve Torres. Even she was a 3-time Divas champion. I
would definitely have gone with Molly Holly before a Tori Wilson. Just saying. But again, fine. It's not like there's like an actual physical Hall of Fame that I can walk through the hallowed halls of and take a look at all the busts of all the people and, reflect deeply on what they meant to our sport. It's just a thing. Like, it's just a thing that they say, and then she's going to come out. Someone's going to introduce her. She's going to have something to say. But it'll happen long before that night. We have DX all come out and they all crotch shop. It's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, people that are trying to make it like for some reason her in ring is what led to it. That ain't the case. Mandy Rose by the end of April will have wrestled in more matches in her career than Tori Wilson did. Yeah. And if you eliminate some of you're talking ring time, that was passed a long time ago. Her and Sonya passed that long ago. But that's far from the only news today. We had WWE Raw. Roman Reigns comes out, says that last week was the comeback, and this week he takes his yard back. And you kind of feel the way that it was going. You felt like it was him saying, get me in at WrestleMania. Now, from one perspective, the Universal title perspective, which he never lost,
right?
That's understandable. If it's beating Brock Lesnar, I don't get that because he beat Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar happens to have that championship that he won. However, when he brings out Seth Rollins to a great pop, by the way, and good Roman chants too, Reigns says that's not what he wants. What he wants is to reform the Shield. This gets a good pop, and man, they went back to the well on this one way too many times. Now, granted, there were a few times they just couldn't help it. From the mumps to injuries to goddamn leukemia. You can't predict this stuff.
Nope.
What'd you think when they said that they were getting the band back together, Alex?
Well, I thought that Seth had a good reaction to it. He was like, no, man, after what he did on the night that he did it, I don't know if I can forgive that. Which makes absolute sense from a human perspective. And Roman being like, yeah, but we don't know what's going on with him. And if he's leaving, I got to have the guys back together, my brothers together with me in the ring one more time. And Seth's reaction to that of, you're right, we don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know. This could all end with an injury or whatever tomorrow. So life's too short. Let's do it. One more time, you and me and Dean. This actually all lays out logically to that point. Like as weirdly thrown together as a Shield reunion after, lest we forget, Dean turned heel on Seth after they won the tag titles on the night that Roman announced he had leukemia. And that was only, what, 5 months ago?
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's ancient history. They erased all of that somehow and made it work in one night. Okay. Good for you. I mean, that's the best thing that happened on Night's Raw, I'll tell you that.
Ambrose's contract was brought up.
Yeah.
Which was different, and I'm told that it's Roman and Roman alone that is going to be the deciding factor, and it's his push that will change that if it gets changed. But finally, Seth agrees. Ambrose had came out to a bigger pop and got cracked over the back by Elias. I thought that was a great way to set up their match later on.
Yes, that's fine. I mean, it's an interesting thing of the Elias being involved with Dean, but not being involved, kind of, but not really with the trio that they're going to face on Sunday. It's a weird kind of a. Okay, fine. I'm into it. I mean, I don't know. Again, I guess it was Dean interrupted Elias, and that was the one time that Elias decided he was going to have a blood feud with somebody over it. Okay, I'm not going to question it too much.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back, Alan.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
About an hour later, Ambrose finds Reigns like in the goddamn boiler room or something. I don't know where they're at, but Reigns is like, "We got to stop meeting like this," and I'm like, "Sir, what?"
I what he said was, I thought we stopped hanging out in places like this a few years ago, and I thought it was a cute touch, because they used to do all those backstage like shaky cam promos. But
oh yeah, you're right.
Listen, here's the deal. I will say this: Man Bun, Roman Reigns, just hanging out in his merch in the ring. That guy is so much more likable than body armor.
Tag vest, big dog.
Yeah, wet hair hanging out everywhere, like that was forcing it. Like this guy just being chill, I totally would hang out with that guy. The other dude, the big dog, that guy, come on.
Yeah, I can't get behind anybody that wears fingerless gloves. Rollins finds Ambrose later and says that brothers fight and that they are wrestling soulmates. To which Ambrose replies with, "Man, you want to talk about the biggest rejection. Telling somebody they're your soulmate and they say, 'Sorry, I'm preoccupied. I can't reform our wildly popular stable.' That is the equivalent of 'I'm washing my hair that night,' if I have ever heard it."
He even quotes Hall & Oates. He says, "No can do."
Oh, God damn it. Backstage, Lio Rush, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley are interviewed, and they take a crap on half of the babyface roster, the Shield, Angle, Balor, all that. Anybody they can fit in.
Yeah. Anybody who's higher on the totem pole than walks around backstage in a Michael Che and Colin Jost promo, those guys got it from Baron and Bobby and Drew.
They sure did. In the match, it was Lashley, Corbin, and McIntyre defeating Balor, Kurt Angle, and Braun Strowman. Strowman choke shoves Corbin over the top rope. Man, this new camera angle, I'm really able to accentuate choke shoves now in 4K VR, the Fightful podcast, and sends him into the guardrail. This match is cut, copy, paste, all that stuff. It is babyface takes over, babyface gets cut off. Commercial, hot tag after the commercial. Any tag match that goes 2 segments, more than 2 segments, does that.
Yeah.
And that's what we get, with the one exception of the highlight being Strowman and Balor hit their finishes on Corbin. And then Lio Rush yanks Balor out. Braun runs around the ring. Lashley moves. And Lio gets mowed down.
Yeah.
And I tweeted, whatever heat he had needs to go away.
Yeah.
Backstage.
Yeah.
He took one for the team. This was the modern day Bill Alfonso bleeding himself to death in a match with Beulah, because this is about as close as you're going to get to that. That Lio Rush ate it.
Yeah. Lio Rush gives up 230 pounds to Braun Strowman. He gives up Elias basically to Braun Strowman. Like that's nuts. And he took it right full force through the barricade. Man, that was nuts. Listen, Lio Rush is great in the ring, but he's not going to be for too many years if you keep making him prove himself by getting steamrolled by a 385-pound rampaging hillbilly. It's just not a good idea.
That was insane. Lashley hits that terrible looking flipping spear to win. I don't get it. The flip spear that he or Moose do. I don't understand it.
No, there's no possible reason for it. Like physically, in the laws of physics, you would have you force yourself to do a somersault while you're spearing somebody. Like that's not a thing your body does naturally, and it doesn't make the spear hit harder. It's just a dumb flourish that adds nothing to anything.
It takes away.
The reason is because you can't have two guys on the roster both doing a regular spear. Like, you know, how if you're playing 2K19 and you're going between two spears, how will you know which one to assign your creator wrestler of Bobby Lashley?
So I'll compare this to a move that Adam Page does. Adam Hangman Page, I've interviewed him several times, have an exclusive up on Fightful right now with him, actually, where he lets us know that he did not inform his family that he would be hauled off by penis druids at All In. A shock, I'm sure. But he does a shooting star shoulder block off the apron in which very clearly slows his momentum. A regular shoulder block off the apron would increase that. What Lashley does only serves to slow his momentum. I don't know how. Why wouldn't, if he was going to do that, why wouldn't he just cannonball them standing up? I don't quite get it, but hey. The heels then beat up Balor really bad, choke slamming him onto steel stairs. They got to book these guys so heavy on heat because they spent the first month of this new fan-friendly era beating these guys so much. They spent a month and a half having Dolph Ziggler get over on Drew McIntyre a bunch of times that he didn't need, because where has Dolph been since the Royal Rumble? Apparently he wasn't lying about that hiatus.
Yeah, no, he's doing comedy. Listen, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I cannot believe how white hot of a giant monster babyface versus a giant monster heel who shows no fear of that babyface they had brewing in November, just as Roman went on the shelf. Like, you could have run Braun versus Drew in just brutal hoss battles for several months, and just now their feud would be cooling off. But instead, you nerfed both of them, and now you've got this point where, like, we'll talk about this later. Braun's probable WrestleMania match is really not going to be great, and Drew's playing second fiddle to Baron Corbin in a stable that, you know, also includes Bobby Lashley. I mean, I don't know what they did here.
Just throw them together, man. Just throw them together. I don't understand it. Today, I learned that Colin Jost of SNL wore regular clothes, something I had never seen before. He and Michael Shea are backstage with Stephanie McMahon. They're going to be WrestleMania correspondents. I don't know what that means. If that means that they are backstage, and I have reached out to WWE. Usually, that's the type of thing that WWE's PR just immediately, as soon as it happens on screen, they're in my inbox with a statement. SNL stars to service correspondents. Have not heard yet. I've been told that this is not the return of guest hosts. It's not going to be a regular thing. Michael Shea babyfaces, who legitimately has one of the best stand-up comedies I've seen in recent memory. Colin Jost heels. Now, while some of their material was flat out stupid, I thought both of these delivered it in a pro wrestling way about as best they could.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, there was a thing like the idea that I think over the weekend, Jost made on Weekend Update made some Bryce Harper crack, and then he played it up that he was the anti-Philadelphia guy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's fine.
The joke was Bryce Harper signed a $330 million contract, which finally answered the question, how much do you have to pay somebody to live in Philadelphia?
There you go. There you go.
That's what they did. They run into EC3, who is still not allowed to talk.
Hey, at least tonight on main event, he won.
He did win.
So that's
there are
something.
a lot of people in WWE who are not happy about what's happening with EC3. A lot.
No, I would assume EC3 is part of that, but
I wouldn't know. But Titus meets Michael Shea, takes a picture with him, and then we see No Way Jose. Michael Shea teases dancing with them, but Colin Jost says that they have to remain impartial. Colin then offers to go to the bathroom with Michael Shea to watch his back. That was probably the line that made me go, all right, that was kind of funny. But what I didn't think was funny, and several people that I talked to backstage did not think was funny, was the line that Colin Jost was given when Braun Strowman approached him, where he says, "Is this real?" Because over the last week in particular, between Ronda Rousey's ill-advised tweets, Triple H's promo, and this, I don't like this, man.
No. Listen, the thing is that I don't like it either. But
it ain't Deadpool.
Yes, but I mean, wouldn't Colin Jost have that question if he had been paying attention to anything that was going on in WWE for the past week? He'd be like, "Well, wait, I thought this was all real, but now you got people talking about how it's fake, and you guys they work here. It's kind of weird, huh?" Which is fine. Then, of course, Braun Strowman, lifts him up and chokes him against a wall
for several minutes
through an entire commercial break. Then drops him afterwards, and Colin Jost no-sells being choked out for 5 straight minutes.
To me, that's better. He has to, because the only way that he couldn't is if he did anything, because he would be dead.
He'd be dead.
So the only thing that we can assume is that Braun held him up there. Because Alex, far be it from me to say that I am an expert, but I've watched my fair share of investigation Discovery. 3 minutes is murder territory.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Like, you don't accidentally strangle somebody. That's not something that happens. And anybody that has used that excuse, cops are immediately like, oh, no.
Yeah.
This ain't a little like, oh, my gosh, he went to sleep in a UFC fight after 8 seconds. You got to hold it.
Yeah. No, there's a certain stick-to-itiveness that you need in order to choke someone to death. Yeah.
What I will assume is that Braun held him up there by his mandibles.
Yes.
And did a modified Tongan death grip to where Colin Jost couldn't break free.
Yes.
I don't like the fourth wall breaking. I don't need that in my wrestling. No, and I had people comparing it to CM Punk. CM Punk didn't look at the camera and say, hey, it's fake. He said, hi, Colt Cabana. Yeah. A guy who he knew, who was a wrestler in the world of wrestling. Like, it's not the same.
After the chokeout thing, Braun says pointedly to Colin Jost, see you guys at WrestleMania. And then Colin Jost says to Michael Che, he's going to be at WrestleMania, which to me, there's a reason why they said it that way. I think it's going to be Braun versus the Weekend Update guys in a match at WrestleMania. It might be Braun and Nicholas.
Yeah, I was going to say they're laying the SmackDown, and
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, how much further would they have to go for Braun to make the top guy on the list of people that were just not ever capitalized on?
That would be real bad. And usually I like to reserve judgment, but man.
We watch this product enough.
Hey.
When they are scripted to say, see you at WrestleMania, he's going to be at WrestleMania, at the very least, they're doing something at WrestleMania, whether or not it's a match.
Hey, you know what? I said this last year when they didn't have anything for Braun. I'll say it this year. You put Braun in the Battle Royal and he literally eliminates everybody. Yeah, and then those two dorks come out and get thrown out by Braun.
Sure.
I'll live with it. Yeah, I'll live with it. Natalya defeated Ruby Riott. This was kind of a squash. There was a chin lock from Ruby and a sharpshooter by Natalya. Then a small package and a reversal into another small package. That's the whole match. Don't know why the sharpshooter didn't end it. Because what? They're going to run this back? We had Tyron Woodley this past weekend. Got molly-whopped by Kamaru Usman. 25 minutes. Tyron Woodley won 0 seconds of that fight. This week he's saying rematch. I say, why? Why? Yeah. So we're going to look at this 1 minute match and what? They're going to run back Ruby Riott and Natalya sometime soon, probably. Yeah. Why?
Just cause.
Because it ended so quickly that, oh, well, tough shit. That's a pinfall.
Well, that is how Ruby's getting all of her rematches recently. Yeah. She lost to Ronda in like 2 minutes, and then the next night got a rematch and actually held her own for a while. Maybe that'll happen next week.
Future WrestleMania Battle Royal winner Lacey Evans comes out and walks around and leaves.
Again, like
we're worth us talking about it. By the way. Asuka at a live event tonight, dropped on her head. A lot of people rushed to judgment, man. I haven't seen video.
I haven't seen video of it either.
Not going to say it's somebody's fault. Had somebody say, oh, Mandy's not experienced. Mandy's been wrestling for 4 years. She's got over 250 matches. She can work. She's just fine. We're told that Asuka I guess she tweeted and said she was fine, but we were told ahead of that it was pretty much precautionary, although there was some concern on the Raw side of things. But there's no heat on Mandy Rose. There's no punishment coming. Honest mistake. So it seems. It
does just to me throw into stark relief how the SmackDown Women's Championship is just this thing that exists somewhere else and is certainly not at all important. We'll talk at length at the end of the show about what they're doing with the Raw Women's Championship. But if they had just done the thing where wrestler X wins Royal Rumble, chooses the person she faces, they have a match, and on the other side, you have Charlotte challenging Asuka, and that's it, and that's all they're going to do, then I'm assuming Charlotte's working this match with Asuka because she's been working with Asuka several times over the past week anyway at live events. Like, Charlotte's not, at Philadelphia. She's doing the live event wherever they're doing the live event. It's just a weird deal how all this sure. kind of like all kind of melds together.
We see Batista from an Instagram post saying that he won't be there tonight. We were told originally this is going to be like a live via satellite thing or a via satellite video, and they're just like posted on Instagram. Yeah. Triple H says that last week was about Richard Fliehr. What about Richard Fliehr Ultra, Alex?
I prefer Richard
little baseball card humor for you.
I prefer Richard Upper Deck.
You know what? Maybe a Bowman's Best.
Possibly.
Those were trash, to be honest with you.
You got to go with the classic, Richard Tops.
Well played. He said he's been there for Rick when he almost died and when his son did. They just love bringing up that Reed died, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's morbid. Like, I don't think you need to ever bring that guy. I mean, it's a tragedy. We don't need to actually ever use it for content.
Triple H says that whenever Batista feels like he doesn't get respect or what he wants, he quits. And this time he couldn't quit, so he beat up a 70-year-old man. I thought that was the best part of this promo. Yeah. It was rooted in truth because we have seen Batista leave a couple of times. Although, if you're trying to root this in reality, we also know that Batista has tried to come back several times, even to work live event loops. But I like the accentuating the positive, hiding the negative in that. Him saying that when Batista didn't feel like he got respect, he left. When he didn't get things his way, he left. And now he couldn't leave again because he wasn't there. I think maybe that kind of does lend some credibility to WWE's side of things. Like, hey, this guy left us twice. Why are we bringing him back again? Even though we've seen that happen time and time again. I want to know what you thought about this before we get into the end of this promo.
I listen again. Everything you said is correct. They found a way to tell that side of the story of Batista being the bad guy here, and obviously, it seems obvious to me through the actions of last week and through this promo. They're telling the story that Dave is the heel of in this program with Triple H, which I did not think was going to be a deal. Like everyone's going to be happy to see Dave back. It's this movie star who's coming back, who's choosing to come back and be on TV again. We love you, Dave Bautista. We're cheering you. Boo that guy, Triple H. He didn't want you to come back. We wanted you to come back 4 years ago, and he wouldn't let you. We're booing him. But they switched the whole thing over by having Batista attack Flair and having Triple H deliver this really well crafted promo. So we'll see if Dave has a rebuttal that makes it seem like maybe there's some shades of gray, and you get to choose who you want to believe and who you want to root for. But right now, Dave is absolutely wearing the black hat and the red sunglasses.
When he's on Raw or when he's on SmackDown, when he's on Raw,
when he's on Raw, he's wearing blue. Because Big Dave, he always zigs where others zag. I'm telling you.
I did not like Triple H saying this ain't about characters. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Got over like a fart in church too for them to use that line.
I wonder how much of that is covering for Ronda not knowing you can't do that stuff. So they're saying like, oh, we're going to make it okay by having Triple H do it too.
Yeah.
And therefore it's a new direction we're going with the company, not this person we've decided to entrust our entire women's division to, not knowing it's not cool to say things are fake or not fake. You know what I mean? Like maybe if Triple H does it, then all of a sudden it's a whole new way we're thinking about sports entertainment, as opposed to just this one woman went rogue on Twitter.
Yes, I am inclined to completely agree with you. That's what I think. That's just the way that I think it went. Oh boy. Heavy Machinery is backstage with Charlie Caruso. And they are shown videos of the Ascension, B-Team, and the Major Brothers talking shit about them. This was written to be bad. The jokes were.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But they were not good.
No,
this was not a good segment. That it was so bad. Otis's feelings are hurt, and he wasn't overly gimmicky or anything like that. But that was the best part of it, was that Otis showed a human side instead of lemonade! Water! Like, we didn't have that out of him. He acted like a human being. Like, that was okay. Then Heavy Machinery beat all three of these teams consecutively. Axel flossed. They made him DDT Bo. They hit a compactor to win. Connor posts himself, gets pinned. No heat for this. Ryder and Hawkins were the highlight of this. They had some good double team offense and just some good offense in general. Otis does a great pop-up front power slam that I loved. That was a real good move.
Yep.
And he wins with the Caterpillar. Now, first of all, what is there to say about the match?
Well, I'll say this. When we were talked about last week about the ingenious thing of like Dave Bautista has to drag a cameraman over to the locker room to make sure this cameraman is there to record this thing. And then a week later, they go back to there's just a cameraman hanging out in the locker room recording all these insults being
I'd be saying, get off my nuts, bro. What are you doing back here?
What? Excuse me. The six of us are having a private conversation about how Otis is fat. Could you please? Like, I don't know. You could have figured out a way to make it look like security camera footage or something. Like I don't know, whatever. Then, in the actual gauntlet, it's little things like this. Like, it just makes storytelling cleaner. Last week, the only people that came out and insulted Heavy Machinery were the Ascension. the Ascension did the most insulting of it in their hidden camera backstage in the locker room insult video. Why aren't the Ascension the final team in the gauntlet? That makes clean storytelling sense. They're the big bullies. They're the ones who got the Major Brothers and the B team, who are just normally kind of generally kind of nice guys, but under the influence of the big bullies, the Ascension, they joined in as well. The big bullies should be the guys who get pinned last and decisively, as opposed to like the guys in the middle who were also there. It's just little things like that just make storytelling cleaner. I don't understand why they don't do it that way.
I don't know what B Team and Ascension are even doing here at this point.
No.
Also, I don't know what these dudes are doing letting a cameraman in their locker room. At what point do you say, my goodies, not my goodies? Get that camera out of my face and my junk. No heat for this. I've been told that Otis and Tucker are going above and beyond to try to make a good impression backstage, like helping to clean up and stuff. Things that most wrestlers at that stage don't even think to do. They're offering to do to make a good impression. So that can only be good for them. Elias trolls Philly about their hockey team. Then he beat Dean Ambrose. They go at it pretty fast to start off. Then it's commercial time. Like clockwork. We come back, see some back and forth before Ambrose gains control, but his back gives out climbing the top rope. And he ate a huge knee to the face.
Yes.
That thing was filthy, Alex.
It's great. And immediately following, if memory serves, the drift away was tight. That was a really great finishing move that they were used at that point. I mean, I've seen it. It looks good most of the time. It looked great in this match, and put him away clean. Which is, I mean, like Elias can never get a clean victory, and Elias actually gets a clean victory, so that's good. But I don't. It's a weird thing. If Dean's leaving, if it's decided, Dean is leaving. He's going to have the one last match with his boys on Sunday, so he's going to keep putting over people, except for EC3 that one time. Like, okay, that's fine, but are we continuing with storyline? But because Dean did not look great in defeat. I mean, yes, his back gave out, and we can't discount that, but it seemed quick.
It sure was, and a lot of this was during a commercial as well.
True.
That knee and that drift away were works of art.
Yeah, great.
Elias has a couple of really good tools. I don't want him to eventually become Baron Corbin, where he can't get any. Like, Baron Corbin's got some go-away heat, like, which is a shame because the man has a couple of moves that should carry him through most matches. The Deep Six, the End of Days, those are a couple of really good moves. That punch he does when people jump off the apron, those are good moves.
Yeah, you could have done some really great stuff with him coming out of being fired as the general manager, of being like, you guys gave me this job. Everything I did, I ran by you, and you're throwing me under the bus? Nah, screw that. And make him like this anti-establishment, doesn't care about anybody, will fight anyone you put in the ring with him, takes out guys as fast as he can because he's not there to win style points. He just wants to put people down. They can go back to like the biker thing, whatever. You could have done something with him that wasn't like, hey, I got fired from Chili's, but I'm still wearing the uniform. Like, I don't understand what that is. You could do something with him, but you're not doing anything with him.
So Ambrose is joined by Rollins and Reigns, in time for another commercial. Some awkward commercial placements on this show.
Yeah.
Music hits. Lashley and Drew were with them, and they troll the Shield. The heels attack, and Ambrose makes the save. Wouldn't be that Shield reunion without camera cut, zoom.
Oh, God.
Some of the worst I've seen it in a long time.
The angle of, you got Roman and Seth in the foreground, and they put the fists together, and in the back, just back and forth, pacing like a caged panther, is Ambrose, and he goes back and forth, in and out of view because he's behind the two guys, and then he just strides forward and puts his fist out. And if they had just had the discipline to stay in that shot for the duration of it instead of 6 camera cuts. It would have been so dramatic and really cool looking. But as it was, they kind of missed it because they had to catch up. When he started moving forward, they were in the wrong camera angle and they had to like switch over. You guys are just shooting yourselves in the foot with this production.
It was real rough. After some hesitation, the Shield is back together for a 4th time. Good pop from the crowd, but I'm almost numb to it at this point. Alex?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's absolutely true. You guys break up and get back together, but you're friends, but you're not together because one of you's on a different show, and like it's weird. Like I feel reasonably confident in saying that if Roman doesn't get the mumps or whatever the hell that was that one time, they might have had an extended run where they were back together for a while, but that kind of just like put the kibosh on it entirely. It felt like they were building to something, and then whoops, nope. And I don't know if the leukemia thing would have had that as well. It felt like it was more like Seth and Dina together, and Roman's doing his own thing. But that time where it was, I think it was TLC 2 years ago, it felt like they were all primed for a real run, and then fell apart.
Yeah, so this one, it's like, all right, they'll be back for Fastlane, and then what? I guess we'll find out, but
yeah,
I am desensitized to it. And this one has a little bit, but I'm like, man, it is a bummer because they were one of the best stables, period. They were incredible. And what WWE should have had out of these 3 wasn't because of their inability to adapt or refusal to adapt. Not inability. I think they were completely able to adapt, but they didn't. Right. So I guess we'll see how that works. Tamina defeated Sasha Banks. Tamina runs through Sasha early, and when Tamina whiffs on moves, Alex, it is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever seen. That headbutt. Yeah. Oh my God. This was Tamina's first televised singles win since November 12th. Banks' statement is applied, but Banks has to meteor Nia when she attacks Bayley. Nia then grabs Sasha foot so Tamina can hit a rough-looking super kick for the win. You know, they're building towards a match Sunday. There's not a lot to this match. It was fine in execution, but what did it mean? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're telling me that over the 2 weeks leading up to Fastlane, they're going to have 2 singles matches. If you told me that Bayley's going to beat Nia and Tamina's going to beat Sasha, I'd be like, no, you have that backwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Listen, they're keeping us on our toes.
Yes, I can appreciate that.
But they're keeping us on our toes in the most inconsequential way possible, because I don't care if it's actually Bayley who loses to Nia and Sasha who beats Tamina. Sasha and Bayley are winning on Sunday because they're walking into WrestleMania with the tag straps. They're not doing that. So, okay, great. Let's move on. Maybe the match this Sunday will be better than I think it's going to be. But I want to see an actual tag match for the belts with the women. We haven't seen that yet because I don't think there's been an actual defense since they won it in the Chamber, and nobody actually tagged anybody in at the Chamber.
That is a good point. I'm inclined to believe that a Sasha Banks pay-per-view match is going to be good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that she's going to let it be bad.
I think Tamina
might have something to say about that.
You might.
Challenge accepted. Sasha, and they technically have defended the tag team titles on the live event circuit. They've defended it 6 times against the Riot. Actually, 6 times against the Riot Squad. So
I didn't see.
There you go.
Yeah.
Huh?
I didn't see any of those though. I want them on TV.
Speaking of the women's division, I think we'd be remiss to not talk about the report that emerged today. Wrestling Inc. reported that Arn Anderson was fired after okaying Alicia Fox to perform under the influence of alcohol nearly a month ago. When I heard this, I said, yeah, that'll get it done. I was told by a source that maybe he got it cleared by a second person as well, and that Alicia Fox has been offered rehab but didn't go. And that's not a good thing. She did not make a good impression last year, WrestleMania weekend, when she had some issues with fans and Ronda Rousey's husband. And you guys can say what you want about Ronda Rousey's husband. You won't hear a lot of people saying negative things about him as it pertains to WWE, because the man minds his P's and Q's, from what I understand. Then I was told that a couple of years ago, she was in line for a pretty solid push, showed up to a show late, and several wrestlers have reached out to her and haven't really heard back. But any thoughts on this, Alex?
The substance abuse is always really touchy, because you don't know how much of it is somebody just being completely in control of what they're doing and just choosing to screw up, or if they actually have a real problem and they're not in a place where they can acknowledge that they need to get help, and they're also not in a place where they can stop themselves from making those mistakes. So that's always really difficult. But Arn, you gotta know, unless Arn's also drunk, you can't make that decision, man. Like, you can't let somebody go out there. I mean, they could be a danger to themselves, and B, a danger to their partner. You can't just let somebody go out there and do that, especially if it's a live event and an Alicia Fox match. It's not like people would be like, "Hey, wait,
refund.
I demand a refund. I did not see Alicia Fox versus Dana Brooke."
Yeah.
You got to make better decisions than that all around. But I don't know what Alicia's story is. We've talked about this. We always talk whenever she's on screen. She's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
If part of that is that, because I know the alcoholics that I have known, and I don't want to say that that's what she is, but the alcoholics, people who have had problems with alcohol, are usually like really fun to be around, and can turn it off and on and be great. If they're just living with it or whatever, but they're not actually under the influence of something. Who knows? But it would be a damn shame if the captain didn't get to make a return. But I hope she gets all the help that she needs.
Yeah, a lot of people said, "Oh, why don't they fire her?" Well, I think they wanted to offer help. I think that's the first and foremost.
It's not like she's been there for a year. Like, she's been there for a long time. I think that she's may have burned a bridge or two, but she's got a lot of people there who care about her and would probably want her to see if they could get her help before they kick her to the curb.
I hope things get better for her. I really do, because that could have been a very dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Aleister Black and Ricochet have a very generic promo, as is tradition. Because that when they got called up, I thought, what'll get them over? Mic time. Forget EC3. What he needs is some silent posing. But what Ricochet and Aleister Black need is mic time.
Man, this just made me so sad. Like, because these two guys are just friggin' dynamic. And you have them backstage cutting generic babyface, we want to be champions promos. It's not at all who they've been in NXT. And, also, I get it. They're also teaming in the Dusty Classic down in NXT, so at least there's some continuity between the two levels. But these guys are former champions in singles competition in NXT. I want to see them in actual really great singles matches, and not like, hey, you guys are both new, you have nothing in common, let's put you in a tag team and have you vault immediately to the top of the tag division. It's a weird deal.
It sure is. And we got a tag team title match, and all things considered, when I saw this, I was like, all right, sure, okay. But this followed more in the formula of the last week of TV. It was a very short match. It doesn't seem like we're getting these long matches, these 20, 25-minute matches. And hey, that can be okay with me. I think we need them here and there.
Right. I would like to see a 20, 25-minute match between the Revival actually being able to be the Revival and Aleister Black and Ricochet. That could be a lot of fun. But instead, when they decide, hey, we're going to give 25, 40 minutes of actual runtime to this match, the match it's going to be is a 6-man tag involving Baron Corbin. Like, that's the match they choose to give all the runtime to. So...
Well, Dawson has a great leg drop and elbow drop. I just wanted to throw that in there because there wasn't a lot else. Ricochet gets his offense right, flattens Dawson. Running head scissors takes him out of the ring. But Rude and Gable came out and attacked the Revival for the DQ. What'd you make of this? If we get a triple threat, maybe cool.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe on the tape.
They gotta have something for the pre-show. So yeah, this could be good. I like the idea of Rude and Gable being kind of like entitled-ish, gray area, heelish type guys, who feel like, maybe the new guys shouldn't vault over them to get title shots. That makes sense. I mean, and these guys also said, listen, when we got brought up from NXT, we didn't get the rocket strapped to our backs. Well, I mean, Rude kind of did. But, like, they can certainly say that they weren't immediately thrust into the title picture that fast. So, maybe there's something to be said for that.
So that leads to a DQ. Ricochet and Aleister Black run off Rude and Gable. Not a lot to it.
I will say I'm glad that they showed restraint in not taking the title belts off the Revival on a Raw 2 weeks after they won it. Yeah. But I did love that. I think Dash wrote on Twitter, hey, for the 2-week anniversary of our actually winning the titles, how about we celebrate with us getting a full on-air entrance? And of course, they did not get that.
Stephanie McMahon is interviewed backstage about Rousey laying down the title. Becky Lynch's suspension is lifted, but in order for her to be back in action, she has to sign a hold harmless agreement after charges were dropped, so she can't sue WWE. Alex, what do you think the chances are that I can get WWE to sign a hold harmless agreement so they can't sue Fightful?
I think the chances are
slim to none. The title being vacated got no pop.
Yeah.
In Philly.
This was so odd because I feel like people were watching this going like, what? Like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh, so Becky's going to sign this agreement. And then she's still injured, that she's going to fight Charlotte this week to see who becomes the new champion. Like, oh, well, that wasn't what we expected. Okay, that's fine, I guess. People were kind of like blindsided by this because it came out of nowhere. This was the idea. Like, again, we're going to suspend Becky. My dad said we're going to suspend Becky until after WrestleMania. But just kidding. We're not going to do that anymore. And Ronda begged and also threatened me last week to lift the suspension. I did lift the suspension, but not because she told me to, because also she's not the champ anymore. It's like, when you put into like Google Maps or something, and here's the route you want to take from here to here. And also they have like, here are these other possible routes you could take. And it's like, here, click this way. It's 23 minutes slower to get to your destination. And you would go, why would I take that route? No, I'll just take the quickest route from point A to point B. Well, WWE has apparently booked the Raw Women's title by clicking on that route that takes 23 minutes longer. Because I don't know why they decided to go so convoluted to get to the point where we're going to be at after Sunday. But they said, let's take the scenic route. Let's go by the old sewage treatment plant because we want to make a stop there on our way to where we're actually going.
You know what's not hot? corporate ineptitude.
Yeah, that's not best for business.
If that happened on Impact, we would get LOL TNA comments.
Oh, yeah, we would.
I mean, this was them portraying themselves as inept, and I don't know. So they announced that Lynch and Charlotte would take place for the vacant title at Fastlane. Charlotte is interviewed and says she'll put Becky Lynch on the shelf for good because she's a one-legged woman in an ass-kicking contest. The hilarity of two SmackDown wrestlers being booked to compete for a vacant Raw championship was kind of wild. But Stephanie brings out Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Becky's here to sign the hold harmless agreement, and she does. But then Ronda Rousey's here. She grabs her title back just like that. There you go. Apologies. Had the coughs. So Ronda Rousey goes off and cuts a heel promo, says she's done pleasing the crowd. I thought that was pretty good. In Ronda's own way, it was pretty good. Because you got to lean into it after the last week.
No, you really got to. I mean, the way that we're going to get there is you really need to have this thing where Charlotte is the person Becky's known forever, and they don't like each other. But really, it's just more like animosity between the two of them. And then you have this other person, this outsider, who thinks the whole damn thing's a joke and she could kick anybody's ass in real life. And she hates the crowd now and everybody, and she just wants to be known as the biggest badass ever. And she's the person who hates everyone. And then you can actually say, okay, well, if those are my options, I'm definitely rooting for the Spitfire. And that's what you want in this particular kind of match. I mean, provided that Becky wins and beats Charlotte on a Sunday. But when they mentioned it, I was like, you have a perfect opportunity to get back to where you're supposed to be and have Charlotte versus Becky on Sunday. The winner of that match alone faces Ronda for the title at Mania. You could retcon this whole thing and get back to it. Because when she says if Becky beats Charlotte, Becky is added to the match at Mania, she was expecting the crowd to go nuts. But the crowd doesn't want that, Stephanie. They want to see just Becky versus Ronda. And social media over the weekend was just, hey, Ronda and Becky are out here like going at it forever. Why do we even need Charlotte involved in this whole thing?
So what Ronda did was then attack Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, put Becky Lynch in a pretty solid armbar, and hit some stiff shots.
Yep. Yeah.
And let me tell you what, she's been thinking on these stiff shots all week.
Yeah, she has.
If you've been thinking on your stiff shots all week, but they just aren't that snug, they just aren't that stiff, and you want to make sure that maybe not yours, but your partner's mount game is good, Blue Chew can help. That's right. Our friends at Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Whether you're working or whether you want to shoot. You can take them anytime, day or night, hour 1 or hour 3. Who cares? Even on a full stomach, since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. No in-person doctor's visits. No waiting at the pharmacy. You'll get your script. Your script of Blue Chew. Right now, we got a special deal for our listeners. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Get your first shipment free. You won't have to vacate your championship. You'll be holding that gold up high. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. Let them know you heard about them from us at Get Blue Chew on Twitter. Stiff shots, Alex. Those were pretty nasty.
They were from some very stiff. The shots were stiff.
You know what didn't help? Them being about 3.5 minutes light on the show. Not a secret to anybody who watched it, but I did get word they were way light on this show.
They were. Yeah, they were. They really were. So I love that they're like just having Becky have her head stood on by Ronda for like 2 straight minutes, and Charlotte, who again doesn't mention the fact that her dad was like nearly murdered last week. Just out there wooing, but not at all concerned for her father's well-being.
She's an ass, Alex.
She totally is. But I loved like, okay, we have like 3 minutes left. Quick, cut to backstage and have Charlie Caruso improvise some questions and have Stephanie McMahon improvise some answers. Because that certainly did not feel like anybody had written a script for it. It was just generic things about stuff.
Yeah. Rousey's beatdown was pretty good. It was a little sloppy, but hey, I think things like that probably should be. At first armbar, that's how you throw an armbar on. Whatever this weird bent elbow armbar she's been doing for months when she had the balls to complain about Becky Lynch's armbar, which is a legit hold. When she's been doing that weird crooked armbar, oh my God, it's not good. But the armbar that she threw Becky in to begin was very good. And she had to sustain the beating. She had to go and beat her up again because they were so light on time. Then they got to go, hey, Steph, go to Gorilla and talk about things for several minutes and then go a little heavy on that. So we have to abruptly cut away.
That was good. That Charlie was in the middle of asking another question. They were like, whoops, we're out.
That was wild, man. If you ever wondered what the benefits of the overrun, there you go. They did not ever have to worry about something like that. And it's been months and they're still adjusting to it. And that's something that you don't see happen on SmackDown a lot. Like you look at how they did the Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles, Randy Orton thing a couple weeks ago. That is a well-oiled crew over there that knows when to get the hell off the air. Whew. Well, we know when the hell to get off the air, and it's right about now.
Yep.
But you guys can get more over at FightfulSelect.com. I have the Fightful Report podcast this week. I dropped a bonus Q&A show last week. Mr. Warren Hayes does a great show every week, 205 Live, NXT UK review. Steven Jensen has the Weekender, which reviews Impact, ROH, BTE, NWA, PWG this week. Lots of good stuff. Don't forget Kristen Ashley's The Division. It's the women's wrestling podcast. That will be up on Fightful.com this week. But hey, me and Anna Bauer did a movie review for Fighting with Our Family, or Fighting with My Family. And it looks like me and Anna on Fightful Select are going to be doing movie reviews. Hopefully at least monthly we're able to do that, or we can film a few at a time. So I'm very happy to have Anna back in the fold at Fightful. Alex, what do you got going on between now and tomorrow?
My daughter's going in for her 2-year appointment where she's going to get a whole bunch of shots. So that'll be fun because she's not crabby enough in the morning. So I should be in a great mood by tomorrow evening. Also, my Bucks lost for back-to-back games for the first time all season. It took them till March to do it, and they got swept in the season series by the Phoenix Suns, who are the worst team in basketball.
Hey, the Bulls had a fun game the other night.
They did.
It was awesome.
Man, that was excellent.
Hey, I'm liking the way that they're doing things right now. And if they get a decent free agent and a good pick, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
At least until Louisville gets a franchise. Leave us a thumbs up, guys. That really helps out. Fightful. Subscribe.